Nobody expected Michael Jordan to completely obliterate Shaquille O'Neal's ego during what was supposed to be a friendly conversation at a charity event. The room went dead silent as Jordan's eyes locked onto Shaq, his voice cutting through the laughter like a razor blade. "Shaq, you really want to go there," Jordan said, that familiar competitive fire igniting in his eyes. What happened next was so brutal, so perfectly calculated, that it left the 7-foot giant looking like he wanted to crawl under the table. If you want to see how the GOAT handles disrespect, buckle up and don't forget to smash that like button because this is about to get real. The setting was perfect for what everyone thought would be another typical night of NBA legends sharing war stories. The Michael Jordan Celebrity Invitational Charity Dinner in Las Vegas, packed with current players, retired legends, and celebrities. Shaq was holding court at the main table, doing what he does best, entertaining the crowd with his larger-than-life personality and non-stop jokes. Everyone was laughing, having a good time, and the drinks were flowing. Jordan was sitting 3 seats down, mostly quiet, just observing and occasionally cracking a smile at Shaq's antics. You know how MJ is. He's not usually the loudest guy in the room, but when he speaks, everybody listens. The conversation had been light, mostly about golf and business ventures, nothing too serious. That's when things took a turn nobody saw coming. "Man, I'm telling y'all," Shaq said, his voice booming across the table. "I'm the most dominant player this league has ever seen, not just center, player. Period." He was gesturing wildly with his hands, that trademark Shaq confidence on full display. Kareem had longevity, sure. Wilt had numbers, but dominance? Nobody, and I mean nobody, has ever dominated the game like I did. A few people chuckled, thinking it was just typical Shaq being Shaq. But Jordan's expression had changed. That casual, relaxed look was gone, replaced by something much more serious. Anyone who knew MJ could see it. The competitive switch had been flipped. "I mean, let's be real here," Shaq continued, completely oblivious to the shift in Jordan's demeanor. "When I was in my prime, wasn't nobody stopping me. I changed the game. Teams had to literally change their entire strategy just to deal with me. That's true dominance." Jordan set down his glass and leaned forward slightly. Still hadn't said a word, but his body language was speaking volumes. Charles Barkley, who was sitting across from them, noticed it immediately and tried to change the subject. "Shaq, man, you know you dominated."
But Shaq wasn't done. He was on a roll now, feeding off the attention.
"Nah, Chuck, I'm serious. I'm tired of people acting like I wasn't the most dominant force this league has ever seen. I won 4 championships, 3 finals MVPs, league MVP. I did it all." That's when Jordan spoke up, his voice calm, but carrying that edge that every opponent from the 90s remembered. "Shaq, you done?" The table went quiet. Not just their table, nearby tables started paying attention too. When Michael Jordan asks if you're done, you better think real carefully about your answer. "What you mean, am I done?" Shaq replied, still smiling, but clearly sensing the shift in energy. "I'm just stating facts, MJ," Jordan nodded slowly, that cold smile spreading across his face. "All right. Since we're stating facts, let me give you some facts." What happened next was pure Jordan. Calculated, precise, and absolutely devastating. 4 championships. That's cute, Jordan began, his voice steady but ice cold. You want to talk about dominance? Let's talk about it. You won 4 rings with 3 different teams. You know what that tells me? That tells me you couldn't get it done by yourself. You needed Kobe. You needed Wade. You needed help everywhere you went. Shaq's smile was starting to fade. Man, basketball's a team sport. You know that. Oh, it's a team sport? Jordan replied, leaning back in his chair. Then why you up here talking about individual dominance? You can't have it both ways, big fella. The table was dead silent now. This wasn't playful trash talk anymore. This was Michael Jordan in full competitor mode, and everyone could feel it. But let's keep going with your facts, Jordan continued, his voice getting sharper. You said 3 finals MVPs, like that's supposed to impress me. You know how many I got? 6. 6 finals MVPs in 6 finals appearances. You know what that means? That means every time I got to the finals, I was the best player on the floor. Every single time. Shaq tried to interrupt. Mike, come on, man. Nah, I'm not done. Jordan cut him off. You want to talk about changing the game? You changed the game because you were big and strong. That's it. You couldn't shoot free throws. You couldn't shoot from outside. You had no post moves except backing people down. You dominated because you were 7'1" and 300 pounds, not because you were skilled. The brutality of it was stunning. Jordan wasn't just disagreeing with Shaq. He was systematically dismantling his entire argument piece by piece. You know what real dominance is? Jordan continued, his voice rising slightly.
Shaq was looking uncomfortable now, shifting in his seat. The big man who usually dominated every conversation was being completely outclassed. You lost in the finals twice, Jordan said, his voice now carrying that familiar venom. Twice. You know how that feels? I don't, because I never lost when it mattered most. The room was so quiet you could hear a pin drop. Other conversations at nearby tables had stopped entirely. Everyone was watching this legendary confrontation unfold. And you want to talk about league MVP? Jordan continued, clearly not finished. You got one MVP in your entire career. I got 5. 5 regular season MVPs, 6 finals MVPs, and I never had to team up with other superstars to get mine. Shaq finally tried to defend himself. Mike, I had to deal with different rules, different era. Different era? Jordan's voice was now dripping with disdain. You played in the softer era, Shaq. You played when they made rules to protect you. I played when they could actually play defense. I played when they could hand check, when they could clothesline you, when they could do whatever they wanted to stop you. And you know what? They couldn't. The psychological warfare was complete. Jordan had taken every single point Shaq had made and turned it against him. You said teams had to change their strategy to deal with you, Jordan said, his voice now calm again but still deadly. You know what teams did to deal with me? They prayed. They prayed I'd have an off night. They prayed I'd get hurt. They prayed I'd retire. And when I did retire, you know what happened? They celebrated. They celebrated because they finally had a chance to win. Shaq was completely silent now, staring down at his hands. The man who had started the conversation bragging about being the most dominant player ever was now looking like he wanted to disappear. But here's the thing, Shaq, Jordan said, his voice softening just slightly. You were great. You were really great. But don't ever sit at a table with me and tell me you were more dominant than I was, because we both know that's not true. The silence that followed was deafening. Nobody knew what to say. Nobody knew how to break the tension. Jordan had just delivered one of the most brutal verbal beatdowns in NBA history, and he'd done it with surgical precision. Finally, Shaq looked up and did something nobody expected. He started laughing. Not his usual boisterous laugh, but a quiet, resigned chuckle. "You know what, MJ?" Shaq said, shaking his head. "You're absolutely right. I shouldn't have gone there." Jordan's expression softened immediately. "Shaq, you were one of the greatest centers ever. Maybe the greatest. But centers and basketball players? Those are two different conversations." The tension broke, and slowly, conversations around the room resumed. But everyone who witnessed that moment knew they had just seen something special. They had seen Michael Jordan remind everyone exactly why he's considered the greatest of all time. Later that night, videos of the confrontation started circulating on social media. Sports analysts spent days breaking down every word of Jordan's response. Most agreed on one thing: nobody dismantles an argument quite like Michael Jordan. Shaq, to his credit, posted on social media the next day. "MJ reminded me last night why he's the GOAT. Respect to the greatest competitor I've ever seen." But the damage was done. The internet had a field day with memes and highlights from the confrontation. Jordan versus Shaq. The verbal assassination became one of the most-watched sports videos of the year. The lesson was clear. You can challenge Michael Jordan's golf game, you can challenge his business decisions, you can even challenge his baseball career. But if you challenge his basketball greatness, you better come correct, because MJ will remind you in the most brutal way possible exactly why he's the greatest to ever play the game. If this video showed you why Michael Jordan is the undisputed GOAT, make sure to smash that like button and subscribe for more legendary confrontations. We bring you the real stories behind the biggest moments in sports history. Drop a comment below and let us know. Who else do you think would be brave enough to challenge MJ face to face?